Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome to this week's episode of Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matty Peverell with Marky D as always, Marky Davison. How you going, mate?
Yeah, I'm going all right. Before we start the show, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Why don't we, when we're making toast, why don't we butter the other side of the bread?
Can you get butter all over your hands?
Yeah, but is that not wasting a piece of bread?
No, because you got butter on the side of the bread. What a random question.
Hey, it's morning time, and I was having some toast this morning, and I thought, how many times in the whole world every single person would only butter one side of the bread? And I was like, why don't we butter the other side?
Can you get butter all over your hands?
Yeah, but wouldn't it be nicer to have a double piece of bread buttered?
I don't know. What a weird way to start this show. If you're tuning into Touch Down Under live for the first time, or you're listening on the audio side, not usually how we start the show, but what I'm going to draw a parallel to the Steelers. How you probably feel about that segment is probably how we all feel about the win against the Cincinnati Bengals this week. Like, the concept was good. The outcome was all right, but it was really messy.
I had to ask the question. I was just really thinking, there's no one in the world who does that. No one butters the other side. I'm like, why?
Well, see, I don't have butter with a lot of things that people have butter for. Like, I don't put butter for jam. I don't do butter for Vegemite. I only put like butter if I'm having a ham sandwich. That's the only thing I put butter on it. And it's not even butter. It's like an olive oil spread.
Is it bad that I sometimes do butter and peanut butter on the same one?
Well, no. A lot of people do. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. So,
all right, that's the intro.
There you go. How is your bread buttered? But Marky D, how are you doing this week? After that Bengals win.
Man, I'm pretty excited. The old Bengals ended with a sack in Super Bowl, whatever it was, against the Rams, and they started with a sack, and then they threw a pick six, so that was fantastic. Finally got to enjoy the win, and I'm a bit more cheerier now because I like the TJ Watt news was really weighing on me. I thought if he's out for the whole season, that's gonna be tough. And also, like, I want to watch the guy play. I think he's one of the best players to ever play the game right now. So, knowing he'll be back in 6 weeks, I think it's good. Also, like Kazi and hopefully Austin come back too. Those dudes.
But just on that though with TJ, are you worried they're gonna rush him?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I think if you're playing, if Devon's playing well enough, just wait till the bye or something like that, and then just after the bye, have a good 10-game stretch into the playoffs. Because we all know, like, playing sport and whatnot, even when you say you're 100%, you're still like 80%. So coming back from injury, they say 6 weeks, but it could be like 8 weeks until he's healthy. He's obviously done some damage to his pectoral muscle, and it did kind of suck. I was like, man, I don't want to watch another season without Water, one of the best players to play the game. So yeah, I'm kind of happy he's back, and now the defense has got to step it up. Big time.
Yeah, it's time. Ogunjobi, it's time. Like, Hayward's got to continue that. I think it's cool for Alex Highsmith as well. We'll see what happens with Malik Reed. But you know what else this does? They're drafting a outside linebacker in the first 3 rounds of next year's draft. 100%.
Would that be good depth behind TJ Watt and Highsmith?
They'll have to. Because, Highsmith will be in his 3rd season next year, going to his 4th season. No, it's his 4th season. It's his 3rd season this year, so it'll be his 4th year. Yeah. So, he'll be coming off contract after that. And, if he has a big year now, he might really set himself up for a nice payday. So, I think it's going to be an interesting sort of situation from that perspective. But you're right in terms. How did you feel the defense went outside of TJ, though? I mean, obviously, Alex Highsmith did get the 3 sacks.
Fantastic. I thought the secondary played really well, got the 2 picks. I thought Minkah and Terrell. Terrell's not talked about enough. Alex Highsmith isn't talked about enough because of TJ's, of course, his play and then the injury. Cameron Hayward played awesome. I thought Ogunjobi had a good game too. Even Leal stepped up and played some snaps too, and the middle linebackers played on fire too. It felt like everyone wanted to tackle, and they were geared up to play this game. Of course, they were out there for 46 minutes, so that didn't help. But I think overall the defense played really well for what the circumstances were, and they're on the field for 100 plays. So that's a very long time. Snuck away with the win. But one of the most underrated guys on this defense right now is I don't know what you think, but Alex Highsmith to me is getting 3 sacks, and the shows I've been watching, no one's really talking about it, and it's fantastic. Like,
yeah, they talked a little bit about it on Move the Sticks from a podcast perspective. So that was kind of cool to hear that this week. But yeah, I mean, I also think, I've been a big critic of or at least been concerned about the depth at cornerback. And I was really happy with the way they played. I was happy with Cameron Sutton, 2 pass defenses, 2 solo tackles. I thought Witherspoon and Levi Wallace played pretty well for the most part. I got to say, and I know that Wallace isn't going to be a big hit tackler and a lockdown corner from a tackling perspective, but I thought his effort on Jamar Chase was a bit flimsy.
Well, he was tearing
that touchdown like that. I'm like, mate, you're not stopping anyone tackling like that. You're not stopping a 10-year-old.
Yeah, he Jamar Chase lit us up the whole game. He was one of the and so did Mixon to a certain degree as well. But I thought overall secondary played pretty well. Minkah's playing out of his mind, getting that pick 6 and roaming around the field. And also even Terrell too. Terrell was moving down into the box, and Trey Norwood was staying back at safety, where they were going to put DeMonte Kazi there. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when Kazi does come back to the defense. This defense gets it. Like, they're getting it. They know how to play. They just need help from the offense. Like, man, I wrote down the other day, 23 minutes and 12 seconds was the amount of time the offense was on the field in the regular game. That's bad. They need to convert first downs and not doing that. So
the thing for me that is going to be a problem, and everyone's like, oh no, sit Kenny Pickett, and even I was like that a bit the first few weeks in the O-line. I still think you got to get even if you got to eat 0-3 and we're 1-0. I was like, just get through the Browns. But how is this any different to 2019? Right
with
now? Devlin and Mason Rudolph, right? With Duck and Rudolph, and Najee injured is Connor, right? And Connor, was injured in and out as well. So it's kind of, that offense does just have to hold on to the ball more. And I'm sorry, I haven't read that article. It's from another Steelers, media outlet, if that's what you want to call it, about Matt Canada praising a 2-yard gain at training. If Matt Canada thinks we're going to win in the NFL with 2 and 3 yard gains, then we've got a problem. I don't want to be like a naysayer after you 1-0 against the Bengals, but and you know what? They could probably play exactly the same way and come up with a win this week against the Patriots. But you're not going to win 9 games playing like that. You're just not.
Didn't he say something like he was okay with 2 yards, but he wants to get to 4 at least, or something along those lines?
If you get 4 yards on the first down, no matter how you do it, that's really good because that sets you up. You've then got 2 downs to get 6 yards, so you can choose to run it and have a go, or you can do a pass, and if it doesn't work, you can dump it off and see what you get, and then you get another crack at it. But if you're going to be happy on 2nd and 3rd down with 2 and 4 yards every time, you're going to have a problem. To win in this league, you've got to throw the ball around because they'll just load the box. And I don't know how Pickens, unless he was injured, and I said this on Warren this week, how does Pickens get 3 targets, 1 reception for 3 yards?
They never went his way. It was quite odd.
And also, point.
With this offense too, it does seem like the exact same, but with a mobile quarterback now. But still, I'm not a big fan of these reverses. They use Claypool 6 times, and I'm just not a fan. I did hear one podcast in the YouTube world say, well, that's Claypool ran well. Look, he had one big play where Warren was out there running in front of him. At the same time, I'm just not a fan of these reverses, man. The defense is too fast. They're way too quick to pick it up. Maybe once every now and then, like in that game where Steven Sims got the reverse when no one expected it. I'm telling you, no one did. And he ran away for 20, 30 yards. But the Matt Canada offense right now, there's a lot of pressure. There needs to be a change. And I really hope they don't waste this defense this year because I think there's so much talent on this offense.
Can you imagine if they do? Can you imagine if like another year we talk about a wasted? And you know what? Even me, like I wondered about whether Big Ben had it or not. But you do sit there and you're like, is this what we saw with Big Ben? But at least he could dial it up in the fourth, right? Like it's,
very similar, man. And like, you know what? There. If you look on the positive, look, Trubisky, he got out of the Bengals stadium with a win and got the big pass. But at the same time, man, like he didn't do anything till he got that flag and the free play, in my opinion. And the pass to DJ was over his head. It was a great catch, fantastic catch over his head. The weird flea flicker was cool to see, but that's a gimmick play. You can't always rely on them. And the one pass where Claypool caught at the 2-yard line was out of his reach, and he brought that in too. So I'm just not confident in this offense, which is really hard to say because the defense is top 5 in my opinion. It can with TJ Watt it can be.
Yeah,
7 sacks and 4 interceptions.
I'll bring up this live chat and then I'll expand on that point from Michael O'Malley. And Michael says Belichick is 35 and 36 without Giselle's wife. I love that. But the thing that and I'll bang this drum. I'm going to look at it a little bit on War Room this week. But like when they picked Kenny Pickett, right? I was really thrilled about that because I didn't think Malik Willis was ready to go. And I thought if you're going to pick a quarterback in the situation where you go get the guy that's NFL ready that you know really, really well, right? And as soon as I was picked, I was on the BTSC Zoom, BTSC staff Zoom, draft Zoom party thing. And people immediately I was starting to talk about how Kenny Pickett throws it into the middle of the field and what that does and his accuracy, particularly intermediate, like 20 to 40 yards and beyond. Oh, sorry, 10 to 20 yards and then 20 plus. And if you look at last year, a lot of it was kind of like a horseshoe where we threw down the sidelines or we threw, within 0 to 10 yards, whether it was in the middle of the field, left or right or on the right side. You look at what Trubisky did last week from Next Gen Stats, it's literally a big U shape again.
Right.
Nothing in the middle of the field. If you look at the quarterbacks that are on winning teams at like double-digit wins year in, year out, including this season, and the teams that are throwing for 300-plus yards, you've got to throw it into the middle of the field. And for the life of me, I can't understand, and I know we don't have Juju Smith-Schuster anymore, but between having Freiermuth, Claypool, Pickens, even Deontay, any of those guys can line up in the slot. I know Austin's out, and I know they wanted to use Anthony Miller there. But Haywood can, Connor Haywood should be playing that sort of role going down the middle, for a bit as well and getting open and causing a mismatch in an H-back role or, this tight end role. I can't understand how we can't throw it into the middle of the field. And I know that quarterbacks move away from there because there's a lot of traffic. And when you're having to throw short, it's really hard to throw to that part, the middle of the field, right? And so that's where you need your O-line holding up. But I'm starting to get the feeling that it's the Matt Canada offense of not throwing it down the middle, at least in the NFL of what he's done so far. And that worries me because you look at where the Patriots were good, they did throw into the middle there. They did throw into the seam. They did throw to running backs making cuts. You look at the way Alvin Kamara carves it up every year. He's carving it up when he's in the receiving game because he's doing these drag routes or crossing routes straight through the middle of the field. That's where the space is. Because if you get into space against the defender and you've got that distance between the offender or you're someone that's got really good acceleration, you are gonna get like really good yak yardage. And that is what sustains drives. And it is a real concern for me because it's the way it is no matter who's back there right now. And Kenny Pickett is accurate in the middle of the field. So yeah.
That's why I wasn't really overly happy with the win as well, because I think we should have lost that game twice. I've never been on such an emotional roller coaster. And yes, it's our Steelers who do that to us the last 3 years, it seems like, for a very long time. But we lost the game twice, and then we ended up winning with the Chris Boswell field goal. But it's Is Matt Canada playing it safe? What is really happening with this offense? You've got such talented players, and you're doing little gimmicky plays where you're not running Najee north and south, like those shovel passes and stuff like that to
Yeah.
Claypool.
But I
or
can't
whoever.
understand as well, like, if you've got Pickens, right, and Claypool, two big bodies, like, I know this sounds like, we haven't coached college or NFL, but like, at the end of the day, you should be sending them down on enough plays that the defense goes, oh crap. Like, even overthrow, even if you were strategic enough to say, okay, they're not open, but overthrow them, right, if the defender's there. And I know things happen split second, but show a bit of gamesmanship and get the defense thinking, hey, they are going to stretch the field, right? Then, like, I just, or purposely, like, you might miss and throw it out, but get the defense thinking. Right now, every team in the league knows when you play the Steelers, they're throwing it 0 to 10 to the sides. That's about it.
What about they used Oshesky as well? I saw like a little Twitter clip video. They used Oshesky in the blocking game, and he got like lit up, on the outside edge. Why are they using a guy like that to run block when they should be putting in someone else?
Well, exactly. I mean, but the thing is that, like, the thing that I'm concerned about a little bit in that offense as well, regarding this area, is like, Trubisky does do well with a good tight end. So I would love to see that they go out this week and they think about where they're bringing in Connor Hayward. They think about Freiermuth. They think about, I mean, I talked a little bit in the last couple of weeks before we started the season around playing Claypool in a Kyle Pitts style role, right? Just to get him some ball. Like that to me is the creativity. Everyone running around behind the line of scrimmage, confusing each other, is like, it's not that creative.
Can I just make a point here? I got Pedro here on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw that one.
If we don't talk about Trubisky in extended length, there's no point of a podcast. Let's put it that way, okay? So don't give us this slack, man. Just can you give up on the dude or whatever? If we don't talk about Trubisky in length, there's no point in the podcast. Like,
I'm
what,
also
what
like
the
other thing I'll say is that's a fair view. That's a fair view about him not playing against a real defense. But quarterbacks don't get picked round 1 in the NFL if they don't have some prospect. And the Steelers went out and got the best free agent quarterback available, and then they drafted the best quarterback available in the draft. Even if they plan to sit him, that's how they're choosing to use a first-round draft pick. There are plenty of players that would have helped the O-line, the defensive line, cornerback, wide receiver. There are a lot of players they chose to pass over to pick Kenny Pickett. So, and there is a difference. Kenny Pickett is an incredibly accurate passer in the middle of the field. That's all I'm saying. So if it's Trubisky isn't comfortable there, they've got something to think about. But as we've rightly said, if it is Canada and his system of not throwing into the middle of the field, then Canada is not going to be successful in the NFL. And I'll just say that straight out. He will not be. College, maybe. Well, the college people are open.
I don't think he is at the moment, really, from what we're seeing with this offense. And like nothing to me, and we keep trying to, I guess, stick up for this Matt Canada offense all the time, right? And it doesn't seem to be getting any better. They ran the ball 70 yards, 4 point yards a carry. Couldn't move off third down. And if Matt Canada's happy with 2 yards a carry, it just doesn't seem like he's playing it very, very safe and not planning to win and taking advantage of the defense.
And Pedro rightly says, and I completely understand what you're saying, that he sometimes Kenny got happy feet to a degree. I did think he was better in the previous season. And so that Mitch will have a better time. I agree. But this is the other thing, is that if let Mitch create plays, as you so rightly said, then Marky D, like let him move around and throw. I'm just concerned because, and David Muse brings it up in a live chat about, Ben had so much success passing to the sidelines. The problem is that this was something, when we were doing shows 2 years ago, I complained that Ben didn't throw it into the middle of the field. And we talked about, and that was at the time when we picked out, Pat Freiermuth, and we were like, well, now he's got a big target that he can throw it into the middle of the field that, does have really good hands. And we saw that in the red zone in Pat Freiermuth's rookie year last year at times. So I'm just saying that I don't think they're scheming well enough throw it into the middle of the field, and they can't run the football. The O-line still needs to get it together, and it did look better. It did. But you're not going to win games throwing it short into the sideline only on offense. They've got to run the ball better. They've got to throw into the middle of the field. They've got to throw deep passes. Like, if you think about those 4 things I said as pillars, we're relying on one pillar right now, or like one limb of 2 arms and 2 legs. How well are you gonna go playing with one limb?
Can you win games in the NFL? The offense scoring only 7 points.
Pardon?
Can you win games in the NFL where the offense only scores 7 points? Because that's what we pretty much did last week.
Exactly.
It looks bad, man. It looks really bad. That's why I'm not like...
what's the point? They may as well, you know what they may as well do right now? They may as well trade Mitch Trubisky to the Dallas Cowboys and get Sam Williams or DeMarcus Lawrence or some other pass rusher, and we'll play Mason Rudolph, because Rudolph can do what Trubisky's doing right now, right? So you may as well get someone to fix the loss of TJ Watt right now. But if you want to win, if you want to leverage the talent you got there, and I know it's only week 1, but the concern for me is, and I know they had 2 weeks to scheme for it. If they thought the defense was going to shut them down, fine. And you don't want to, as Tomlin says, it's not about killings. But as I've talked about on different shows, and even when you miss shows, Mark, as well, when we've talked about it a lot, to go to the Super Bowl, you are going to have to win a certain number of games throughout the playoffs and regular season where you score more than 30 points. You are going to have shootouts. Like we had a couple last year, Chargers, Vikings. This team doesn't look like it. Well, as you just said, it only scored 7 points. 7. And I know it's only week 1.
Off a turnover as well, by the way.
Exactly, right? And I know it's only week 1, but is this really, again, Matt Canada offense? We've not seen anything lightning different in the preseason. It's a worrying trend, particularly with Najee potentially battling some sort of ongoing injury. That's all. It's just, and this is what the title's about. It's, will the Steelers fight, and will they fight back, and will they be able to get all these things done, or will it be flight? Well, that's all we can do. Oh, well, we'll see how we go.
It's going to be interesting, and I hope they do fight. When I say that, I think even on defense, they're playing outstanding. Anyone can see that. It's really the offense is really struggling to say, well, you got a long season and you're, there's nothing really he says, kind of like the creative offense, right? But it's not really. It's so predictable in the certain plays that they do.
And this is and it's fair, M. Marcus in the live chat says it's only 1 game, relax, give the offense time, to mesh.
True.
It's completely offense. It is, but what's the one consistent thing? It's Matt Canada right now. What's the one consistent thing they're doing? They're throwing it short into the sidelines.
Yeah, but also it's happened last year as well. It's not. No.
Why would you don't draft?
That's a poor take.
Draft George Pickens and you throw it to him 3 times in that game.
You know what? No offense, Marcus 39. That's a poor take. It's not just 1 game. It's all the extended games from last year as well. Okay, it's not just 1.
No, yeah, but I see what he's saying with the new offense. But all I'm just saying is what you probably were going to say there is that this is Canada is the constant. The scheme that you're doing is constant. And you know what? Why waste a second round? I'm kind of frustrated about this. Why waste a second round draft pick on Pat Freiermuth? Why waste a second round draft pick on George Pickens if you're not going to use these fellas? They should have drafted O-line so that they could sit back there with all the time in the world to throw these dumb slants.
Look, I hope they can figure it out because they have such a talented offense, skill-wise with Deontay and all these guys, like you said, Pickens and Muth. And look, I think Muth had a pretty big game. We go to the positive. He had a really good game, right? He got that
yeah,
that
he
last
did.
catch
But if
set
you
him
look
up.
up until the mid 4th quarter, he hadn't done a lot. And that's not on Muth. It's about how much ball you're getting. They've got to hold on to the ball. And it goes back to what you were saying at the start of this area of the podcast where you talked about giving, and I want to flip to the defensive side. You talked about giving the defense a break and not forcing the defense to have to do the whole thing. That's and so in that vein, who are you? I guess going into week 2 now against the Patriots, we do have TJ Watt missing. You and I briefly covered earlier about who needs to step up, but is there a particular position group or is there a particular player? Like, obviously, we know Highsmith's going to have to, be, the center of the pass rush from the outside linebacker perspective and fill in for TJ in whatever way he can. But is there another area of the defense that you are particularly looking to basically take a bigger role this week?
Bill Belichick is going to try and run this ball down our throat. They're going to pull guards. They're going to use the 2-back set with Stevenson, and I think the other dude's is it Harris? I can't remember the other dude's name. I don't remember the other dude's name. Anyways,
yeah, well, they've got Damian Harris and Deontay Harris. I think he is. Yeah,
yeah, they're going to try and run down. Like if Bill can control the game, line of scrimmage, and get things moving and pushing our defensive line on the back foot. Well, I don't really see that happening. I think this defensive line is a bit different than it was last year. Cameron Hayward looks better. Tyson Lue looks pretty good in there too. Even Leal and Ogunjobi are playing well. So to me, it comes down to if they're running the football and they're getting the first downs, then Mac Jones is going to go into play action. Mac Jones will be more comfortable. So I think running game is going to be key to if you can stop that. I reckon we can take. I reckon a secondary with Minkah back there can formulate a scheme, or Terrell Austin can formulate a scheme to where he can shut down most of these pass catches, right? And if the pressure gets to the quarterback, I don't mind seeing that. It's just if they start running over us like they did in 2021, that's a problem. And Bill Belichick, man, he's a mastermind. He's going to figure this. He's going to figure this stuff out, right? So, but he's in a precarious situation too, like with Mac Jones. Like he hasn't got his Tom Brady back there no more. It's a lot different. It's a lot different offense to see what he's doing, and he's now 0-1. And Miami Dolphins played a good game against them. All right, so the Patriots aren't the same old Patriots anymore, but still, they're going to come here with a lot of fight. They're going to come with a lot of fight, I think, to play us. And if they can run the ball better than we can, or hold possession, like there's no way. And this is why I find funny about the Matt Canada offense. You can't hold the ball for 23 minutes. You lose. You're going to lose because we won't be getting 5 turnovers this week. We might 100%. Get 1 or 2, but if you hold it for less than 23 minutes, is like that's a long time.
But you know what I like? What worries me is like if Najee Harris is not ready to go this week. I said it in the Slack channel earlier in the week. Don't play him. Don't play him. Like, play Warren. Play the other guys. Like, let him recover. Because we're going to, if we like more than holding the ball this week, we're going to need to hold the ball against the Browns. Right? Like, we are going to need to hold the ball against the Browns because they're going to ground and pound us, right? The longer we have the ball, the longer Chubb and guy behind him don't have the ball, right? Hunt. So, like, so I'm just sitting there with Jaylen Warren, like, give him a go. Like, run it up the guts with him. Like, really show that. Like,
he looks good too, man. He looked good last week. He blocked well.
He did, man.
He ran okay because of a few short times, but he was out there, looking like a true steal. Like he blocked, I think Claypool almost took that linebacker out to lunch. Like he looked pretty fun out there, dude.
Yeah, 100%. Like, so from I guess from that perspective, I agree with you on definitely running the ball. I think moving to the defense, which is what I want to talk about, I think their inside linebackers are really important in this game, right? I think, how Miles Jack and Devin Bush, if Devin Bush can have a big game this week, or at least do better than what he's done to date, still, like, we're going to be able to really take it to the Patriots, and I want to see with TJ gone, how Jack and Bush are being brought in to rush Mac Jones as well. Because if we can bring that sort of a rush down the middle of down the middle there, and disrupt those slant passing lanes, that short middle of the field for Mac Jones, that's going to be really, really important. Particularly because Mac Jones is injured right now. He's had those back spasms and what have you. He's not coming into this game like, oh my God, I'm feeling great. And they're not coming off a win, right? So the pressure's on for him. So the more we can do to make him feel uncomfortable, he's only a second-year quarterback as well, right?
Do you think this is more of a Cameron Hayward game too? He played outstanding in week 1.
He did, but the problem that you see, right, in a game like this is with TJ out. We saw it last year with Tuitt. Teams can now double up against Hayward. Like, everyone's going to know who's going to be bringing it on. It's Hayward, right? The
Right.
Patriots are going to be very aware about scheming Highsmith out. So really, this is an Ogunjobi Malik Reed game, right?
Right.
This is where, and that's why I think Devin Bush and Miles Jack need to step up, because I really think they're going to have to be able to be really solid in that middle, so the other guys don't have to do too much. That's the piece, right? And we talk about being creative. Like, can they, on certain plays in, whether if they're playing the nickel or the dime, can they put Miles Jack on the edge, for example, or Devin Bush in like a speed sort of run? Like, how are they going to play that? I think that's going to be the interesting piece as well. Particularly in the way Belichick schemes with this offense. But what I would say is I think this game is going to be a difficult one to watch. I think there's going to be a lot of punting. I think there's going to be like a lot of short drives. But as you said, I think it's whoever doesn't, the team with the least amount of turnovers and who holds the ball the most wins. And I know that you can say that for any game, but this game is 100% going to be decided by that.
Well, you can't say
the overall under is like, I think the overall under was like 41.5 or something, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be under. But even last week, you held the Bengals held the ball for 46 minutes. They should have won. But I'm with you all the way. This is the game where I think Mac Jones will probably struggle. I don't really see him scoring too many points versus us and versus our defense, because they're playing some solid defense. Like, they're going crazy. And at the same time, I'm not confident in our offense. Like, you have all the superstars and they're not doing anything. You watch, look, as a fan perspective, pure fan, look, I don't know much about coaching, that kind of stuff. I just watch my team and have fun. I watch all the other games around the NFL, Matty. And what do you see? You see the big passes 40 yards, you see the wide receivers getting wide open, and you just don't see that with this Steelers offense.
I feel like we say that every 3 or 4 weeks during the season and off season. I know. Other teams seem to be able to throw for 300 yards. I just don't get it. And they have worse O-linemen than us.
What is it? Is it the route concept where they're not developing the routes to get open well enough? I saw a pass in the Seahawks game where Russell Wilson to Jerry Jeudy or whatever, and he was wide open. He could beat his man. He was open by 10 yards. I have not seen that in a long time.
And Deontay gets like one of the biggest release distances in the NFL for wide receivers. Like,
is it scheme? Is it the defense that they know they're not going to throw it in these certain places, so they're not going to attack there? Have they figured out Matt? Is every single owner figured out Matt Canada? They're not telling him that they know. Like, I look around the league and I go, there's something missing in this offense that we used to see. Maybe we were so like used to seeing AB and those guys tear it up with Big Ben. Like, that was so much fun in 2016, 2017. Fantastic offense, Le'Veon Bell, and it's just like it's not fun anymore. Sorry to say, but it's not as fun as it used to be. Najee Harris still hasn't got a big touchdown yet. He's got one in his career for 40 yards.
I mean, look, it's not the AFC West. Like, it's not. We're not in a division that's known for throwing the football around. But I do know what you mean. As I say, I worry because there are a certain number of games per season that you're going to need to be able to put points on the board. And I just, without Ben drawing plays up in the dirt, so to speak, I just don't know if this team has that right now. And that's, as I said, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that when you are so to keep the analogy out earlier in the show, one limb focused, right? Like, if you're only going to rely on short passing and to the sidelines, then you're going to have it's going to be a problem for you. You're just not going to have a versatile enough offense, which is going to keep the defense guessing. And so therefore they're going to be able to make plays because you become predictable.
You remember the days that you just like Big Ben would go out there in the first drive, like back in his youth days, and just like chuck a 50-yard bomb to like Martavius Bryant, and you're like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, but Ben was a franchise quarterback. Like, we gotta remember that, right? Like,
I just miss him, mate. I miss him. I just want to see the offense be successful. And I think the skill players are there, but like, to me, is it Canada? I'm on the Canada hate train.
I forgot who it was, but one of our BTSC colleagues said that this O-line was better than the one in 2008, and I said, is it? Is it better than that O-line? Because I don't know about that.
Look, prove me wrong, Canada. Go out there and score 40. Just go do something. That's my expert opinion. Go and just I look around the league, man. I'm like, it looks so fun to be a Mahomes team, doesn't it? They look fun to be that, or like a Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen team. They look pretty fun. So I'm not saying I'm switching. I'm not switching. All right, I'm not switching to blue.
I think it was in response to that. Quinton Shelby on the Facebook side said it's not.
Right.
The O-line. I agree with you. It's like, but all right. So going on to the Patriots side of the like this game, is there someone on the Patriots that you think needs to basically is going to be the match winner for them, that the Steelers, if they can stop that person from having a big game, they'll go a long way to winning this game?
Yeah, like I said, probably the running backs, the bloke Harris. I don't know his first name. I forget his first name.
I think it's Damien Harris. They've got Damien Harris and Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, those two dudes, I think if they run over us, it's going to be big trouble. Of course, this is a big game for Mac Jones. Like, it does come down to the quarterback play, right? Mac Jones heading into Heinz Field / Acrisure Stadium. This is a huge game for him. 0-1, and his I guess confidence. Like, I wouldn't want to verse a Steelers defense like this now. Like, not at all. Not with Minkah back there. Like, you got to contend with like all the plays, the middle linebackers, Alex Highsmith off the edge, and you still got to try and find the football, and then Minkah's lurking around. Like I think I remember last year too. You were picking certain points where Minkah would pick it off, right? And this seems like the year that he's doing it. Like, he seems like he's roaming around the field and getting involved. You look down sometimes and he's like involved in a tackle, and you're like, where did he come from?
I was actually quite surprised. I didn't expect him to completely pull back from last year's tackles. But Minkah had 10 solo tackles in this game. He had 14 tackles.
And a punt block. I mean, and a kick, a field goal block. Like, I would say, yeah, if it's Patriots, maybe Mac Jones needs to be wary of Minkah, because he's coming into.
If he has another 3 or 4 special teams, let's say he blocks another 3 punts this year, right? Let's say he scores another 3 or 4 touchdowns, finishes the year with 6 or 7 interceptions. At what point is he in the rate? In what point do we start thinking about an MVP for the league, right? I love and I say this because, like, it's talked about in the NBA circles a lot, like, in terms of, are you the most valuable player to your team to win? And it's the same thing. Like, in the NFL, it's just, if you're a quarterback, you get it, right? Like Cooper Kupp, people are like, oh, maybe he was challenger there. But, like, most valuable player, like, theoretically in my mind, should be the team that the player that helps their, they're the difference maker with the winning for the team. Like, he won that game for the Steelers.
Oh, big time.
He blocked that punt and he scored that touchdown. He won that game, and he had the most tackles. Like, without Minkah, they would have lost by 20 points.
It's funny what the NFL does, because what the NFL does is they hyped up Josh Allen last week, and like they did like the whole stat line, like 4 TDs or whatever it was, and all the yards. And then someone wrote a comment on Facebook like, well, you forgot to add his 2 picks, So they're trying to, like, always build up the quarterback. But I agree with you. Minkah was the game changer, and he pretty much won them, put him in the chance to win in the game. He had the pick 6. He blocked the field goal. That's unbelievable. And 10 solo tackles means he's actually feeling comfortable in the defense, and he's figuring out the offense. Like, he's being where he needs to be. And that's why I like the pairing of him and Terrell Edmonds together, because they go so well together. I could see him take advantage. He could take advantage of Mac Jones.
And look, Ken in the live chat says that they'd need to for the safety to get MVP, you'd need to score a TD per game with 3 interceptions and 4 sacks. I get that, but the concept of what I'm saying is that he is like an absolute difference maker. And, if he, as I said, if he hits some of the stats that I brought up, as we sort of talked about it in this segment, like, his contract looks cheap at this point in time, right? Like,
if the Steelers would hold their opponents to, like, 10 points a game or 13 points a game, like I think the Ravens did one year in 2000, I think the Steelers did like in 2008, then he'd have a chance to go and maybe win MVP of the whole league. But then I think it kind of throws all the other awards out, because then you got to think, well, who's going to be offensive player of the league? That's going to be the quarterback. But then who would have been the guy under him?
Yeah, and I've heard a push. Yeah, and I heard a lot of push this offseason around their thinking. And I didn't want to talk about like MVP awards. It's just more to emphasize the point about just how special Minkah is. But just on that point, I've heard a lot of talk where they're saying the Offensive Player of the Year award should now go to a non-quarterback, because it's like the way that the MVP award is skewed towards the quarterback. It's like,
Oh, it's always quarterback in reality, isn't it? They get like 40 touchdowns, the 45. They got the ball in their hands. You can't give it to an O lineman. Imagine that if you gave it to Trix Okorafor. I don't know, like there's someone like that. Like,
mate, that guy
like who?
That guy won't win an award anytime soon. Sorry.
All right, Mason Cole. He's the MVP. He holds the ball the most. All right.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's a funny one. But Minkah's playing lights out. I mean, I'm so excited to see. Like, I like this secondary, man. I really do. I like what he's doing with this team. To get that pick six and to run away with it, and then you just got to hold the ball. Canada, just get some first down. I don't even care if you get 3 first downs and punt it. Do something.
Yeah, and this is it. Like, and that's where I was talking about more of the offense before. Is like, I'm not expecting the Steelers to score 40 points a game, right? They don't need to with that defense, but you can't make that defense play that many snaps.
100 times. What's that? That's 1,700 snaps. Imagine that if it was 1,700 snaps, and they're like, all right, and then people go, well, how are we losing the playoffs? Because your team played 1,700 snaps in the regular season. That's why.
People wonder about like Najee, like at the end of the season, battered and bruised. I'm like, he had 381 touches as a rookie, guys. Like,
oh, yeah, man. Football is a funny thing, isn't it? It's a funny thing.
But it's easy to play armchair expert as well, right?
Oh, that's what we do. That's what we do for a living.
Like, that's it, right? But it's not, and you got to go with the highs and the lows, but it'd just be fun to watch a game. Particularly, it's not even cold yet. That's the other frustrating thing. It's 1 p.m. It's warm weather. Like, it's warm weather. Right?
Something
like,
just feels.
But like, it's just you sit there stressing like the whole game.
I know.
And it's like, in your heart, you're like, yeah, the Steelers can do it. And then your head's like, oh, man, nah, it's done. Like, even Cam Hayward said he walks at the sideline after they scored the touchdown. He's like, oh, it's over. And then everyone's like, no, let's see about the kick. Like, apparently Danny Smith said to him, like, no, we've got to like line up and block that kick. And he's like, oh, yeah, whatever. And kind of like put his helmet down. And then he knows they blocked the kick. And he's like, oh, we're back on the field. He's like, yeah, we've got more football. I'm like, yeah, even the players are like feeling like this, right? Like,
oh, the Steelers dead set lost twice, and I said on my live stream that I do, and I gave up. I was like, I don't care who wins. I was like, just someone win. I'm done. I'm so done with the up, the down. Even the Chris Boswell like hit the post. I was like, kidding.
But the good thing is, I will say this. The great thing is, before I want to do one last piece before we close out the show. Last year, we had the draw against the Lions, and that made things a little bit difficult in terms of playoff schedule. We had to go away to the Chiefs. We could look back on this game, and a game that a lot of people thought us losing in Cincy against the Bengals, who went to the Super Bowl, right? And the Bengals will play really well this season. At the end of the day, we're 1-0 in the division. We're 1-0 against the team that's the most likely to top the division. We've got the game breaker against them for the AFC. And this is, as I say, this is one most people chalk to a loss, even if they thought the Steelers were getting 9 wins. Patriots are looking worse than what people expected too. We can go into Cleveland 2-0 on a short week, but that does release the overall pressure around this team. And so we don't want any of the listeners, whether you've been listening live or you're listening on the audio side, to sit here and thinking we're down and out on this team. We're not. What we're saying, though, is that it's going to have to get better going for the rest of the season. Like, it's going to have to go getting better and build on what you were able to do, right? Absolutely take advantage of the fact you were able to get those turnovers. You were able to win that game despite missed kicks. Here's
a quick take. Are we beating, this is ages away, but are the Steelers beating Joe Flacco? Because I reckon that should be if Joe Flacco Jets beat us, I'll be so disappointed.
People bag Joe Flacco.
Did you watch him last week?
He still
you didn't watch him.
Well, how about this? He still threw for 300 yards. We didn't even do that. Mitch Trubisky didn't throw for 200 yards. You can't bag that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can. Go watch the game. He's real bad.
I watched some of it. It wasn't great, but they still threw for 300 yards.
Hey man, he looks like a statue back there. He looks worse. He looks worse than Trubisky or Ben.
What's
That's
wrong with
bad.
stat
You
sheet,
don't
Jules?
don't defend Flacco. Come on, mate. Jesus.
I'm just saying, like, how does that make you feel? Through
What's
almost
that?
double what Mitch Trubisky threw last week.
Well, I'm just saying, if we lose to Flacco, I'll be, oh man.
We
Just
won't.
don't
The
be- just-
defense will rip them apart.
Yeah,
It'll
I
be
can't
lights
wait.
out.
That's what I'm saying.
It'll be lights out. All right. So I wanted to bring it back last week, but we had bad on the show, and it just kind of, we went the way we went. But I want to bring back our punts of the week. Where we do our big gamble or our big bet of the week. I missed that last week. Want to bring that back for the season. I'm going to actually log them, not like last year where we just sort of got a bit lost in it. So do you have a punt of the week? And for those that are new listeners, punt of the week in Australia, we say going on the punt. It's like going betting, having a gamble. What? So this is a bit of a bold prediction. So what do you got?
I got let's go a weird one. Let's go sneaky Trey Norwood. When
smoky, a smoky pick, right?
Trey Norwood's gonna be in the slot, and they're gonna throw like an out route or something like that. And Mac Jones won't see him. He's gonna pick it off and go to the house like William Gay. That's a pretty bold prediction.
I thought you were just gonna say picks it off, but you're saying Willie Gay.
Yeah, he'll go to the house, mate. Let's do that. Trey Norwood goes to the house, I think, for his first ever interception.
I'm going to go Miles Jack. 2 tackles for a loss, 1 interception.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. He'll be in the backfield for sure. You want to see him get an interception too?
Yeah.
All right.
He's Max Jones. He's picking that off straight out.
Is he going to have trouble? This is a hard game for Mac Jones, right? I think so.
Actually, I'm going to go 2 TF. Oh, he got 1 last week. I feel like that's dodge for me, only going 2. I'm going to go 3 tackles for a loss, 1 interception. There you go.
Are we doing scores as well? You want to give our scores out?
Yeah, give a score prediction.
Yeah, I reckon 16-10. For some reason, I think I got mine almost right last week. Yeah, I picked 23-21 last week, and it goes 23-20 Steelers. So I'm going 16-10. I don't think our offense can score that well, and I think we can hold them. So 16-10 Steelers.
I go. I'm going 23. 23-20 Steelers.
Exact same score.
Something actually inside feels 26-20 to the Steelers.
With two.
Actually, no, I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to stick with what I had in my head. 26-20. 26-20.
Okay, I like that.
But I want it. It's on record that it is 23-20. I did say that too.
That'd be crazy. The exact same score 2 times in a row. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Patriots can score more than 20, but it depends on how long the Steelers actually hold the damn football for.
Yeah, and can they score more than 20? That's why I went 16. I don't think they can.
No, but I thought about like 4 field goals and 2 TDs.
Oh, Bozzy is man. Boz is money, isn't he? He's money in Acrishaw.
Yeah,
Heinz Field. He's money over that way. He could be one of our. He could be MVP. Why not?
Yeah. I don't know. I've put the Steelers defense back in this week in fantasy. I subbed them out.
How did you miss out? You missed out on 100 points.
I missed. It was the little league I'm in with the BTSC guys. I missed out on 20 points. I have the Ravens D on my bench, right? And I thought Ravens D against the Jets, right? And so,
but okay,
yeah, so the Ravens D got 12 points, but I was pretty upset because so I put the Steelers D back in, but it needs to perform.
In my opinion, though, they should be able to, unless Bill Belichick has a plan to really take care of him, they should be able to take care of Mac Jones. They fire up. Let's go. It's home. It's home field. Fire up.
100%. Fire up. Exactly. But with that, that's going to wrap up this week's Steelers touchdown under. Marky D, as always.
Go Steelers.